Check, check. Check, check. Mic check. ABC. 1, 2, 3. All right. Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's doing great. Hope you all had a great time today. Today was a pretty crazy kind of a day, considering it's Monday. We don't know which direction the week's gonna go, but I'm happy to be here with you nevertheless. First, I want to thank all the new folks who've been subscribing, giving me some ideas, and giving me courage to continue moving forward. Being able to do this is a lot more difficult than many may think, you know. Um, so really appreciate you, my subscribers here. I really appreciate you, and make sure you're dropping some comments, like any questions at all down in the comments. I'm gonna try to read all of them and respond to them when I can. This particular week's really hard because I have another client project that's going live really soon, and there's a lot of work, a lot of things to do before then. So, but what that means is that I get to spend some time with you tonight, and let's take a look at the markets and take a look at what happened today. So first things first, we know that there was Empire State Manufacturing Index at 8:30, and then some FOMC speakers. So I knew today, 8:30 a.m. was going to be important. So was the open. But tomorrow there's also core retail sales at 8:30, as well as industrial production at 9:15, and then some FOMC speakers, and followed by business inventories. So the morning's probably going to be packed as well tomorrow morning. So keep an eye on that. We're going to start at the daily today. So we're still in this big range. Let's take a look at this range here. So far, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And so it begs to be seen what's going to happen here. So remember, we drew up into this daily imbalance here. You can see that there. This is a bearish order block that I noted there. You don't have to, but that's what I noted. So yesterday, or rather just a few hours ago, that day ended with a big green candle up. Our new week opening gap. Let me remove some of the old ones here so you can actually see it. There we go. So we had, this was the old new week opening gap, and we have another one that's inside of it now. So you can kind of see we opened up, went down, took out the previous day, Friday's low, went to consequent encroachment of that wick here. So we go to here to here. We can see that 50% mark is where we ended up. Oops, let me change this to an easier view one. So you can kind of see that almost exactly 50% down of that wick, we hopped down there and headed back upwards for today. So what happened? Was there any draw on liquidity? Was there any inkling that we were gonna just go bust up? Well, not on the daily chart. We did go down quite a bit in the past couple days, and we have indeed. So here's a high, relative equal low here, and then a higher high. And we started to fail, and we've regained a large portion of that. Now, what's going to happen tomorrow? Well, we have this high to look at, this high to look at, this high to look at. We have this wick, 50% of this wick as well. We have this daily imbalance here that's remaining unbalanced. And we have now we've got this low to look forward to. It's a short-term low now. So we need to get below that if we're going to head further down into that higher area of liquidity that we've been pointing out for a couple weeks now. So on the daily, you are going to want to keep those relative equal lows in mind here. So I'm going to take mine, put it at 5 o'clock p.m., and then I'm going to run it out through the entirety of this week. I would recommend you do the same. And we have this sell side liquidity as well. we'll note that because that's on a lower time frame. So keep those in mind. And then of course there's a monthly inversion fair value gap, low and high on the monthly levels. So those will always have a little bit of impact. So let's go down to the hourly and see if we can find anything from today. Okay. So this is the hourly from today, right? We see that Asia ended up coming out, taking out this at the end of the day, and then coming up during Asia, rejected off of volume balance once, twice, 3 times. So what did this create? A lot of buy stops here. So naturally, as New York session starts, we see this. So this low here is 15082.50. This one's 15083. So price does not get below this area. It does create some relative equal lows though. And I'm going to keep that out here for the time being. And we'll see if anything forms from there. But those are relative equal lows. So I'm going to mark these as sell side liquidity. And we're going to mark them here as 15082.50. And let's mark that here as well. Great. So we've got this sell side liquidity written out. We have another one which we actually took there and took out there. So I'm going to remove this one here because we've already tackled it. We have no need to refer back to this, even though it did refer back to it, but we can remove that for the time being so we have a cleaner chart. Okay, so this chart we ended up going through just like in the morning, how I mentioned that I was looking for price to head back and take this at the very least, but do not try to pick a top. And this is the reason why. I've seen this happen one too many times, and it only takes a few times of trying to sell and getting squeezed out from a run. It only takes a few times for you to know that, hey, this is painful. So that's why I told you, and you can go back and rewind the video from today's morning prep. Very, very brief. So super short, but go back and see what I was pointing out, right? I pointed out the highs here. I pointed out this buy side or sell side inefficiency, this bearish order block. And we just blasted straight through 1, 2, 3, 4 PD arrays. So in my mind, it is beginning of the week. So it certainly has the capability to continue downwards, or continue upwards rather, sorry. It took out this whole imbalance here. So now this has rebalanced. It's not completely rebalanced, I would say, but we're still in this kind of a big box range. So until we can break out of there, until we go for these buy side liquidity and then head back downwards, or until we maybe end up taking this buy model all the way back up to this buy side here. So remember, this is a buy side on the daily. And we want to mark that out, right? So this is a high of 15469.50. And we want to mark that as a buy side liquidity. And we are going to mark this as a buy side liquidity as well. And have that here. Short-term high. So I'm going to have that on my charts as well. And this technically goes a little bit down here so I can fit a little bit more room here. Yeah, so today we took out this rejection block here, went down into that new week opening gap low, came back up, went down into it again, came back up, right? So it was finding a hard time to get below this candle's close. That in itself should have signaled to you that, hey, this thing is ready. It is coiling up. It's ready to go. So let's go down to the 15-minute and kind of showcase what we were looking at in the morning when I had minutes basically to play. So on this chart, we see that Asia, the new week opening gap occurs. Asia moves up, rejects, third time, comes back down, and just doesn't really make, I guess it technically makes a run on this rejection block here. This low, however, is 15082.50. This is 15083. So again, this is where we have a little bit of discrepancy, but for the most part, we have two relative equal lows there, followed by a weekly SIBI low. So I anticipate those being taken out at some point this week. So here, from London to New York, you would have been waking up around here. We see a low, high, higher low, higher high with a fair value gap here. This whole thing you could have taken, as well as the bounce off of this this bullish order block here, knowing that we are in, and we have almost 1, 2, 3, 4 touches here. This should have signaled to you that there was plenty of buy stops from people who shorted those, waiting right up here. And as you can see, right when you hit it, it skyrockets up, comes all the way back down, and then proceeds to hit a daily value, which I pointed out as well in the video, in the live stream actually. So so that's what happened today. Let's go down to a 5-minute chart so we can take a little bit closer look at some of these entries. One thing I want to bring along though is this 5-minute real-time hour chart. And basically you can see that from open, remember this is the open from real-time hours only, they left that opening range settlement high and low. They left it very quickly. They pretty much skyrocketed up, started to come down again, hit this mitigation block, or low, high, lower low, higher high, back to this breaker, and this breaker breaks upwards. So that was a beautiful breaker. I was hoping to see it come back down, but we do see it we will revisit this at some point. So as you can see, price continues. And let's go back to the electronic trading hours charts. So price continues on for the day on a 5-minute. Here you would have seen, let me see if I can pull up the S&P 500 as well. So let's compare and contrast S&P here. Okay, so this was at roughly 4 till 6. So let's go back to that time frame. So let's see. There we go. So let's see, from 4:30 till 6, there's no SMT divergence here, so I'm guessing the Dow actually had something to do with that, which is okay. I was just curious if there was one. So let's take a look at NASDAQ. All right, so we see a structure shift happen here, and we see a fair value gap form right in between these two. Very small, and we always traded all the way down back to that bullish order block, but that bullish order block held. We traded back down to it. It held. Traded back down to it. It held. Traded back down to it. It held and continued. Traded back down to it again, held and continued. So lots and lots of pyramid entries there. That was a really beautiful play. I wish I would have been able to see that, and I look forward to seeing some more of those in the future. But we do see that we were headed straight towards that 15,302 hourly SIBI high. So those are all key areas, and actually this would have been smart to move out the whole way as well. 16. Like that, basically. That would have been helpful because you would have known that pretty much at that point in time, there's nothing really big to be taken. There's no more big trades to be taken. Now, you'll see I did end up scalping this. Very difficult scalp. But I also felt the motion, felt the momentum, and trusted in institutional order flow. So when you see it enough, you'll recognize it. And that's for another time, another lesson. But yeah, I think with this, we were always looking for things to rise back up to this area here. And I think that was on the hourly that there was always something there. So I did point that out. That's what we were reaching for. You certainly could, if you were waiting for this rejection, you certainly could have waited for this rejection and then took it down to kind of like the midpoint of this bearish or bullish order block. I did not take it down that low, but let's go down to the 1 minute just in case. Yeah, so if you go down the 1 minute, that's a huge move. Even this move up here is quite large. Relative equal highs, takes that out, takes out this low and this low, continues. Probably for just a 1-to-1. Let's do a swing projection on this. A little less. So not a high probability trade, but ended up taking it anyways. And that's all she wrote, you know? So I think that's really it. I mean, you can see your entries, you can see these market structure shifts happening, higher low right here. And then we have this kind of zigzag motion, continue upwards, stop out, continue upwards, stop out. So that's about it on the 1 minute. Let me see if I can pull over a 5-second chart. Okay. Let's see where those are. Okay, well, I can't seem to find the executions here, which is kind of sad, but either way, what we've been looking at since Asia has been some pretty sharp sell-offs. As you can see, there's not much going on the tiniest 5-second chart. Man, I'm so tired right now. I gotta drink some water. Sorry, guys. Being up since super early in the morning is gonna sometimes make me zone out here. So I think I probably don't have these marked. That's why I was just blanking out there. Sorry about that. So let's take a look at this. So this is where I have my my immediate rebalances. I saw that this had already come down and taken out this area. And what is this? That is a bearish breaker. After price came back, took a excellent area of liquidity there. If I was paying attention, this right there, that's what would have gotten me really excited right there. I would have taken an entry here and targeted the lows from right here. I wonder how many points is that? That's about, let's say you got in right here, but the high here is 15,299, and then the low here 15,259. So that's about 40 points, 40 handles. That's the trade that I would have been looking for, because you see an immediate rebalance off of that level on the higher time frame. So I think that was one of the key things that keyed me off. Like, okay, well, I saw this move occurring. I saw it has rebalanced and immediately ended up knocking this down. So what do? I see this occurring. I look for evidence that it will continue forward. I anticipate it going down. I was trying to get it on this tick here, but I do see it also repelling off of this daily level very quickly. So my mind then goes down to, where can it possibly take profit? Well, the easiest one would be this daily fair value gap fill. And so I took that one, copied it across 3 accounts that are in drawdown right now. They've been the ones that have been in drawdown. If you look at my charts, there's one that I X'd out that is like, was pretty much dead. It was maybe 1 or 2 trades away from being dead. And a couple other ones which were maybe minus 1,500 and minus 1,400 or something like that. So a couple of those were meant to trade to show that I can get out of drawdown. And actually the one that was really close to being blown, that was a mistake where I had thought I had been closing out, but I actually had been adding. So kind of like when you're shorting and you think you closed out by hitting buy, but you're actually, you forgot you're shorting, you think you're longing, so you hit more sells. That was one that was a little oopsie, and I was pretty much down to maybe, it couldn't have been more than $60 away from blowing the performance account. So I am focused on staying very low leverage and building those back up. And that is going to be kind of key, because once I get those back in good standing, that's when I'm going to start to add a few more accounts as a trade copy and a few more accounts as a trade copy. Remember, my goal was to have 10 accounts running at a time, right? But I want to get these 3 out of drawdown slowly, methodically, patiently, so that I can get them back on track. And as you can see, I mean, if you're able to get $60 a day, copy that across a few accounts, 60, 120, 180 bucks today, it's not a bad deal. Plus, the biggest important thing is that you're minimizing the risk that you're allowed to take, right? So you would never get down to this drawdown if you're using proper risk management. It just won't happen. I would implore you to go watch ICT's videos on risk management. Super good. And go watch mine when I release it sometime this week. I'm trying to find a good way to connect with people off of YouTube as well. So I would love to, connect with you in emails and be able to start to maybe in the future, maybe have a newsletter or something like that. Something quick, something that you can read if you would like to. But hopefully also a way to connect personally with you. Each one of you here who are my subscribers, I want to be able to connect with you at some point in the future, whatever it may be, because I appreciate that, you being here early in this journey. So it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a really good one. So So yeah, anyways, back to the charts. So yes, I have a 5 second chart going up. You don't need this. You can find just as good plays on the 1 minute chart, right? So let's take a look at that and take a look at what we might look for, right? So on the 1 minute chart, this was today's action. Let's say you woke up late. Let's say you woke up right before the bell. There was no Judas swing today. It just, skyrocketed up. But what does that form? On the 1 minute chart, right? So you see this happen right there. Your mind immediately goes, hey, I had all this stuff that was waiting, and all these people that went short, tried to go short here again, right? And they just got stopped out hard, or they just flew well past their stops. What is price going to do? It is going to seek a discount, and it's going to seek areas of imbalance like this one. And what does it do here? Well, I have to scroll this over a little bit so we can show you, but look at what it does. So you see this happen here. You might be looking at the 1 minute on your screen. You want to be patient for this kind of a move. You never want to try to chase this and buy in a premium. What is a premium? Well, if you take this low from before the swing happens to this high, this is your midpoint here, right? Let's use this one. So you can kind of see this here. This is your midpoint here. And you kind of see you want to wait for price to reach to at least this 50% mark. So above here, this whole zone here, that's premium. And then this whole zone down here, that's a discount. So you can see that 50% line changes it. So you look for price when it starts to hit down here. Now, when you see this go down low, you see it get almost there, you want to have your limit order set right there, right at 15,192. Because this is an imbalance that is, and you could even set it in the middle here. You could set it at the high of 15,186.50, because that's consequent encroachment, or the midpoint of this gap here, of this buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. I'm gonna take this off for now. So where does price go? It goes all the way down, right? So your entry would have been 15,186.50. You would have had to handle about 3 points of drawdown, and then price continues upwards, and then it comes to shake some people out again right here. But what happens is it goes to the midpoint, right? 15,188. Once you do that and you see it going, your stop should be below here. So 1586, this low is 15,168. So it's a pretty sizable stop loss. I mean, it's really tough to have that big of a stop loss, I'll be honest. So worst case, if you aren't comfortable with that, you could take this low, 15,175. So that'd be, your entry is 186. Kind of like take 10 points down, 176, right? That would take you right beneath this fair value gap, the candle of that fair value gap, and that would be acceptable. So that's where you can kind of look into and take an eye on the entries. And look for those fair value gaps. You're not going to end up trading every single fair value gap. Go watch ICT's material. That's fine. Learn it and watch the 2022 model and learn that too. Because you're going to see here it's going to end up going for what? This buy side imbalance or buy side liquidity here. And what does it do? Kicks around there a little bit and then voila, takes it. Now that move from down 186 to 263, That's like 80 handles right there. You could trade that with a micro and still make $186 within how long period of time? This is 950 to 1010. That's it. That's your macro right there. So obviously this ends up going back towards that hourly that hourly level that we saw earlier. But I just want to show you that you don't need these lower time frames. You can perfectly well trade on an hourly and oh, that's too many. Well, put every single one on there. So, you know, if you can identify the draws on liquidity on the hourly, we marked this. I marked this morning. I said, hey, this is the first one. This is the second one. Sorry, the beginning of this city is the second one. The beginning of this bearish order block is the third one. And the high of this is this fourth one. So I told people in the morning, watch that, leave allowance for this to rise up here. And it did. So tomorrow, what I see happening? Well, we did leave on the real-time hour. We left this big liquidity void down here. And we filled in this one here, but we haven't taken buy side here. But if you recall, that's where it immediately rejected. So I anticipate maybe coming up into this box, maybe tagging that a little bit, and then coming back down. We don't have to look at the 5 minute like this. On the hourly, I mean, it didn't even come down to these two, buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiencies. So there are relative equal lows down here now. There's a fair value gap down here. There's more liquidity up this way and this way too. Let's get rid of this. And we kind of see it came up to this sell side imbalance, inverted fair value gap, and rejected, right? Let's see if this rejects again or not. So that's what I'll be looking for, but I mean, it very well could continue this upward motion and head back up to take out these stops here. That's perfectly allowable. There's a daily unbalanced, daily imbalance that we need to consider taking care of as well. And yeah, I think that we will head back up this way before we head downwards. Now, any announcements could certainly change that, but that's what I'm looking for tomorrow. Again, I'm not going to have a ton of time to trade tomorrow. We have a huge day, and likely I'm going to have to spend a lot of time in the evenings. So good luck trading. Make sure you write your levels down. Let me know how your trade goes. And I hope that you can make the most of these reviews and what I watch out for. So good luck trading tomorrow, everybody. And again, thank you very much. We're at about, I think we just broke 200 some subscribers. So super blessed and thankful to have you here. Thankful to be here with you and be able to do this. I have a few things coming up, but keep the suggestions coming. I'm adding them to a little list and trying to see which ones I can record and get through in one session. I think the risk session is going to be a really good one. I think that one is one of the most important ones that has helped me become a much better trader. So yeah, with that, I'm going to close up. I'm going to go drink some water, get hydrated again, and maybe get to sleep. Doesn't look like there's very much happening in Asia anyways, for the Asia traders. Sometimes it's kind of crazy, but otherwise, most of the time I don't trade it. So, all right. Well, thanks a lot for coming along. Love y'all. Can't wait to see you next. And I'm hoping in the wintertime I can take a couple weeks off and just trade with everybody here. That would be cool. So with that, I'm going to close up shop here. Have a good night and get some rest. And we will see you bright and early tomorrow. Take care. Good night.